Not another day. It's new opportunity, new chance, and a new beginning. Embrace it. With these lines, I once again welcome you on the third day of the FDP on embracing change and transformation in industrial ecosystem. And the topic for today is Shift Towards Industry 5.0. To give you a detailed view on this topic, we have Mr. Arvind Khanduri sir with us today. Arvind Khanduri sir is an MBA graduate from MDI Gurgaon, one of the most premier business schools in the country. His professional career spans 24 years plus across Asia, Middle East and African markets with some of the best organizations like Cadbury, Godrej, ITC, Marico as in leadership roles. Mr. Arvind Khanduri is also involved in guiding and counseling students on career choices, personality grooming and communication skills, besides being the English mentor at a GLAD possible. Please welcome sir with a huge round of applause. Now, I would request Mrs. Shruti Agrawal ma'am to welcome sir with a token of gratitude. Now I welcome sir on the stage so that he can give his expertise knowledge on the topic. Thank you once again.
Okay, just give me a moment, I'll just set my system and then I've worked, I'm from MDI Gurgaon, passed out in the year 2001 and after that I worked in India for 3-4 years with Cadbury's and ITC before moving to Middle Eastern markets, European markets and African markets. Now in the last couple of years, as ma'am said, I'm working as a consultant. I also have interest in education and to that extent training, workshops, something that I conduct. Now, before we start today's session, which is a very interesting session, when I was told by ma'am that I will be speaking to a gathering of faculty members. So obviously, it's a great topic that has been taken for today's session. So Industry 5 is something that we are going to touch upon today. Before we actually start talking about Industry 5. A big question is why is it so relevant that we are having almost a week-long seminar or these development programs talking about Industry 5. Now, where I come from, I worked in the industry for almost 18 years in the corporate world. And in these 18 years, one thing that came across every organization that I worked for, and these were some of the best organizations that you can think of. One thing was very common and it was very puzzling at that point of time, but there was we just had to accept things the way they were. We could not question, because every organization, some of the most, for example, some of the organizations I worked for, they got voted the best places to work for. Everybody, one thing was very common: the focus towards profitability, the focus towards increasing shareholder value. Now, this is something when you join any organization, and you can join them from the level of a management trainee, which is the most basic place where you can start, or you can join them as a CEO. These are the KPIs or key performance areas that every person, when he or she joins an organization, knows that he has to be a part of. Profitability, shareholder value. So much so that a lot of people get stressed, unduly stressed, because their life is nothing beyond increasing sales, meeting deadlines, meeting targets for top line growths, meeting targets for bottom line growths. And the organizations are built in such a manner that at the end of whatever you do, your performances are going to be appraised on a value, a dollar value, INR value, whichever part of the world you went to, what you are adding to the organization, and it might be put in very fancy words, but at the end of it, it all boils down to the profitability and the shareholder value that you are increasing. It might be as a management trainee, it might be as a mid-level employee, it might be as a CEO. Unless you perform on this parameter, you might be the best resource, but it doesn't lead to anything. And this was something that everyone has accepted. Everybody knows that even if you're joining in any stream of the organization, you might be working in marketing. If you're working in marketing, then your obviously goal is to increase the sales, make sure that most people are aware of the promotions, the advertisements, but that is not enough. Eventually, that should all ensure more sales for the organization. If that is not, you might make a beautiful creative, but if it is not leading to an increment in sales, is it worth it? Will your organization give you the bonus? Will they give you a promotion? No. You might be in HR and you might say, oh, HR, I'm in HR, I don't have anything to do with sales targets. But when you recruit, you are supposed to recruit those people who are going to add the maximum value or shareholder value. When you are going to appraise, you have to ensure that you can't go haywire giving out benefits and increments. So an HR member who is going to ensure employees are motivated, but at the least cost is going to be a good resource. So basically the reason why I'm giving you this introduction is that in the last 20 years or so, this has become the culture across organizations, improving on profitabilities and shareholder values. So much so that every employee looks at himself not as a human being, but as almost a robot who is supposed to do certain such things, have a magic wand to ensure that profitability is increased. Now, this is one part of the world. There's another world that exists, which is the philanthropic world, if I were to call it that. What is philanthropy? Doing things for the benefit of the societies. Right? Now here, the focus is on improving human lives, adding value to human lives in a non-profitable manner. So one extreme is that everything is tied down to shareholder value, profitability, and this other extreme is these organizations who work for the betterment of humanity with little or no stake at improving shareholder value or improving profitabilities, because they are doing something for the betterment of the society. Now these are two different worlds which coexist. Now when we talk about Industry 5, it is taking the Industry 4 parameter of shareholder value, profitability, and also tying it up with the philanthropic world. So it's saying that while profitability is good, while improving shareholder value is great, but it should also have certain sustainability, certain developmental goals that go beyond just the finances. So it's taking best from both the worlds, how to create an organization that is profitable, but also at the same point of time, keeping humanity and the values of philanthropic world, and then tie it together to see an organization that has both of these. And this is what Industry 5.0 is basically aiming to target. So this shift towards Industry 5.0 is basically, as we said, the dawn of human-centric innovation. So, a brief introduction. Now we are bringing in the human element to growth and development. So, what is the core people are realizing at the end of the day? Why it is important to be profitable? The human element of organization needs to be at the forefront, which needs to be central to everything that we do. You cannot be talking about profitability without keeping in mind the fact what is it going to ensure the human centricity, how is it going to improve things for the world, for human beings, because at the end of the day we have realized we are not robots. So industry 4 was all about digitalization, networking, but it was coming at a big cost. People started looking at themselves as machines. And some of you, maybe some of you will not know that when computers came, when the industry 4.0 was coming, a lot of people feared that they would lose their jobs. And at that point of time, because the human centricity was not there, organizations did not take time out to ensure that computers are only going to augment and not remove people. So all these challenges, all these learnings we have taken from Industry 4.0 and we are trying to apply it in Industry 5.0. So Industry 5.0, you don't have to do anything. Just make a few settings, rest everything is being done. In fact, some places in US I was reading, they have what they call as, for older people, because they live alone, their kids are all settled. So what do? They live with these pets, like robo pets. So they have a pet which is like, if you like dogs, the pet is a dog. It's obviously not a real live dog. And the pet has AI technology, and it is taking the blood pressure of, for example, if an old person has any ailment, if he's a blood pressure patient and his kids are not living with him, so all his body is being tracked 24/7. So if the blood pressure shoots up, that robo pet or the pet, there's a signal that goes to the caretaker, that goes to the doctor. So if the blood pressure shoots beyond a point, the doctor team is going to come to attend. Now it's so much of technology, and we might question whether it's good or bad, because one of the problems that comes with this technology is some old people feel, and just imagine you're all human beings sitting here, just imagine half of you were robots. So now there's obviously this feeling that is setting in, the old people are feeling that there's nobody who can look after us, not our children, not our grandchildren, and we are left at the mercy of these robots. So too much of advancement, too much of technology also leads to a certain level of saturation which is happening in the world. Also, one other thing that is being now questioned is the worker well-being. Like for example, if I were to give you an example, I'm sure to some extent you all might know, if you go to a factory, and depending on what sort of a factory you go to, the employees as young as 30 or 40-year-olds, they are facing health issues. Like for example, if you work in the carpet industry, your eyes are already gone by the time you touch 40. If you're working in a matchwork industry, your lungs are already half killed. Everybody knows this, but do you do anything about it? No. So now this increase, because as I told you, Industry 5.0 is about human centricity. I mean everything, जो भी होगा progress, वो core में होगा human centricity. So now they are questioning how the workplaces can be improved. Which means if you are working in a factory, if you're working in an assembly line or whatever your work is, your well-being is of prime concern to the employer. To an extent, like बहुत लोग होते हैं जो desk jobs करते हैं, they work at the computer the entire day, they have back issues. Everybody knows they have back issues. Do the organizations do anything about it? Maybe very few would. Now the question is, an employee who is creating profit and shareholder value for you, his well-being has to be at the core of what you do. So designing ergonomic spaces. So designing ergonomic spaces to ensure the well-being of your employee, to ensure there are no risk hazards. All this is also part of the Industry 5.0. And one other thing that is leading to this transition is that now the consumers are expecting so much more from companies. They are expecting personalized products. Now, for example, if you go out for shopping, the customer is not going to be happy with 10 designs that you have. The customer wants 1,000 designs. The customer wants, oh, I want a short sleeve. If you remember 20 years earlier, when factories came into India, 50, 60 years back, everything was mass produced. Now, you would have looked at, if you go to online, the kind of choices that are available are obviously ensuring that nobody is happy wearing something that your neighbor does. Everybody wants to look different. Individualization is setting in, and so to that extent, consumer expectations are growing. A quick look at how the industries have evolved. So one thing that has been noticed is that in the last 4, and it's been the 5, every time that a source of energy is developed, we move from one industrial revolution to another. This is the way I look at it. Initially, सबसे पहले, if you were to look at that era when steam engines were developed, the steam engine was a new technology, new source of energy that was developed. And so mechanization started happening. We started using steam and water power. Because steam engines were running, this was what was leading to growth. And this is what led Industry 1.0 to use steam and water power. And then, very quickly, electricity was invented. The new source of energy was electricity. And then everything went to mass production. We saw factories setting in, because with electricity you could do so much more. You could produce so much more. And that is what led to Industry 2.0. Then automation, the 3.0, some of you might have been part of that era, when computers took over, electronics took over. So this digital energy, that came along with nuclear energy led to automation. A lot of work was automatized, it was being done by computers, and that led to Industry 3.0. And then Industry 4.0 was digitalization, which means we were now talking about IoTs, we are talking about big data and all. Now IoT is, what is IoT? It's an Internet of Things. So if you can see that it's a network of physical devices which can transfer data from one another without human intervention. We were talking about smart houses today. You enter the house, if you can set up the system, you tell that before I enter the house, half an hour before, the AC should be switched on. So that's a kind of interaction that it is leading to digitalization, IoTs, Internet of Things, and there's so much that you can do with the internet if you set up things. At raat mein 2 baje I feel a little cold, the AC should go down. All of this is possible in smart homes today, and this is what IoT is. Then big data. Big data is basically huge amount of data that is impossible to, if you were to deal with lots and lots of data, human mind beyond a certain point will not be able to make anything out of that big data. So now how to handle this big data, that large or complex data, to ensure that we can actually use that data for our advancement. So that's big data, and Industry 4 was all about IoTs, big data and artificial intelligence. Now coming to Industry 5.0, as we mentioned, It is talking about the human-centric system. Whatever you do, the code has to be the human element of it. Because now we are questioning, there's no point in growing phenomenally, but at the same time hurting our environment, not being able to do anything about the well-being of your employees or the people at large. There's no point of growth, and people have realized that crazy growth is not going to lead anywhere if the climate, if the environment, if that's what you are polluting, there's no point in growing at that place. So Industry 4.0 did bring a huge amount of quantum, gave a huge leap of growth to the industries, but now it is realized that is not enough. If the industries have to grow, they have to also come with a human-centric core aligned with the SDGs that United Nations has set up. So everything, all countries, all the responsible countries are aligning whatever they are doing to align with the SDGs of the UN. So there are 17 SDGs that we'll talk about. Now, again, a quick look at the key features of Industry 5.0. What are the prime things that this revolution is talking about? We are again saying human-centric approach. So it prioritizes human creativity and decision making. Now, what do we mean by? As I said, in Industry 4.0, while there was a lot of advancements, the human beings or the human capital was feeling a little left out. They realized everything is happening with computers, and some of them felt not useful enough. Now here we are saying in Industry 5.0 that while there will be automation, while there will be digitalization, but the decision making will largely be lying with the human beings. So machine तो बहुत capability है. Big data करने के लिए you can give billions and billions MB of data, and it will process it in seconds. But what needs to be done with that data? That will be decided by humans. What decisions to make out from all the data points that you're getting with the advent of technology and AI, how to use it, that decision will lie with humans, not with the machines. And see, if you do that, then humans will also feel needed. Tomorrow you become, you are all, some of, maybe some of your MBAs, or you've done some professional, you all teach. And just imagine tomorrow if you feel that there's a robo who can actually teach so much more in the classroom than we do, and then we'll all feel helpless and useless. So how to integrate what AI benefit you're getting along with what you add to the improvement of your students. Now that the robo cannot do. When you bring in that human centricity in your classroom, that is what makes you different. And while you might use all those technologies, the core of it has to be the human element, which is you in the classroom. So a robot will never be able to take your place in the classrooms in front of the kids, because you are going to add empathy, you are going to add certain knowledge, certain wisdom, which the AI or the robots can't. Maybe they are not made to function like that. So there you add that. Also focus on co-working with robots, or cobos as we call them. Now one of the focus that we'll see changing in the next coming years is that it might be very, very normal for you to walk into a restaurant, to walk into an office space, to walk into a manufacturing unit and see robots working alongside human beings. Now this is one of the biggest changes that will happen, wherein you will become extremely comfortable seeing cobots in various places. These might be, manufacturing units, they might be service areas of manufacturing. Like one of the things I remember when I was very young and I had gone to for an industry visit. And if you've ever been seen in industry or a factory, these are what we call as assembly lines. So assembly lines में क्या होता है? For example, if it's a box of, let us say, biscuit that is being manufactured. तो box of biscuit के लिए आपको biscuit चाहिए, कितने बिस्किट्स उसके अंदर जाएंगे, व्हाट इज द आउटर कवरिंग, उसके ऊपर कौन सा स्टैम्प लगेगा, एक मशीन वे करती है. It's a whole line. Now the people who work in these assembly lines, just imagine every day, 8 to 10 hours they do a repetitive job. Just imagine आपको एक लाइन में बैठा दिया जाए and 10 घंटे every day for 30-40 years of your life, आपके सामने एक बिस्किट का पैकेट आता है, आप उसको स्टील करते हैं, एक डब्बे पे रखते हैं, और ये आप दिन में 1000 बार कर रहे हैं. They maybe in a month 30,000 times, and this is your life. So we used to ask these people that भैया आप बोर नहीं हो जाते? Same job, मतलब this is height of a boring job, and they used to say, you know, survive करना है, कोई करना ही है. And then we realized that such a job is probably, when we're talking about AIs and robots and cobots, now these kind of repetitive jobs which do not add any value, but they can be so much improved with a co-robot or a cobot. Just imagine a cobot करेगा तो वो human beings की efficiency in all probability ज़्यादा होगी. Human beings थोड़ा mistake कर सकते हैं. Human beings 2 ग्राम 3 ग्राम ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है. But with a robo it will be done to precision. Also they will be more efficient and they will be doing it so many more units than a human being can be. The focus was on automation. So if you know, everybody was talking about how we can make everything automated. And if you are making things automated, we were very happy. That was the focus of 4.0. But with too much of automation, we are realizing we are not giving back to the world. In fact, we are spoiling the world because there has been no focus on climate, sustainability, and human centricity. So now, Industry 5.0 is talking about human-centric innovation. Whatever innovation needs to happen, the humans have to be at the core of it. You cannot be growing mindlessly with zero emphasis on humans, because at the end of the day, humans are, you know, whatever you work for, it has to be towards the benefit of humanity as a whole. So in Industry 4.0, the collaboration was mostly between machines to machines, which is now going from humans to machines. Because if increasingly humans have to coexist with machines, the focus will need to shift there. Machine to machine was what Industry 4.0 focused on, but here it's more about humans with machines. In terms of the objective, Industry 4.0 was only talking about efficiency. As I said, how efficient you are. Are we making products that are more profitable? Are we making products that are making my company richer? But now we are going beyond that in Industry 5.0, and we are saying that along with efficiency, well-being and creativity are equally, if not more important. So whatever work has to be done, it has to be for the well-being of humanity. It should also be enhancing the creativity, and that is why अगर सिर्फ machine काम करेगी तो शायद creativity इतना ना हो, लेकिन अगर humans with machines काम करेंगे, so efficiency is there and so is creativity. In terms of sustainability, as we discussed, in Industry 4.0 we had started discussing about sustainability as a priority. So I'm sure in the last 20 years we've heard about climate change meetings, these climate agreements, but we are realizing not much has come out of it. The CO2 emissions are not reducing. The kind of targets that have been taken, nobody is really taking them seriously. So now we are saying let's consciously, proactively move sustainability as a core principle, not just as something कि ठीक है देख लेंगे अभी तो 50 साल लगेंगे, because everybody world over is realizing अभी 50 साल वाला situation नहीं है, it's right there, it's looking at us in the face, and the sooner we do something about taking sustainable goals, the better will be the quality of the world or the environment. So as I said, Industry 4 was mostly about automation, Internet of Things, big data, and now Industry 5.0 is about human-machine collaboration, ethical AI, and sustainable practices, enhanced focus on worker well-being. These are the things that we discussed in the past, that now ethics need to be there in whatever we do. Human centricity needs to be there, and the well-being of the core human beings, that has to be the most important thing. While efficiency, money, profitability are important goals, the core of everything that we should do in this world today, the core has to be the human element. These are some of the benefits that if you were to look at the benefits of Industry 5.0, it obviously enhances the creativity of humans. Because what was happening earlier was humans were basically doing a lot of work that was repetitive, that was time taking, and that was not adding any value to you. As I was giving you an example, if you are doing a task which is manufacturing and you are doing repetitive work, and all your life you are only doing repetitive work, have you learned any new skill? No. Maybe forget, and have you become more efficient? Initially, yes, you do become more efficient. Then what happens? You get bored. How many years will you do the same job? And then it becomes monotonous, and then your efficiency also goes down. So here we are talking about enhanced creativity, where we are saying let combos do the work that is repetitive, that is not value adding, that is to do with a lot of big data. अगर आज मैं आपको कोई मैथ्स का प्रॉब्लम दूं जिसमें 500 नंबर्स हो, maybe you will use say 5 hours, 6 hours to get your head around and do it. Why should we? We have a machine that can do it better. You should rather, as a human being, involved in how best to use what has come out of those data points. क्योंकि ये efficiency कोई efficiency नहीं, अगर कोई चीज़ आपके सामने कोई चीज़ better कोई कर रहा है, why would you not let that person do it? अगर कल गर्मी है, पहले तो लोग पंखा जलते थे, अभी AC है या फैन है तो कोई कौन पंखा जलेगा? It's wasting your time. You can do so much more in that time. So why should you compete with machines when there are certain elements that they do better, and these are anyways not adding value to you? 500 number को add करना is not going to add any value to you. Let the machine do it. हाँ, जो result आएगा, how to implement, what decisions to take, that is what you should be doing, right? Better resource efficiency and waste reduction. Also, one of the things in sustainability is that a lot of manufacturing was happening जहाँ पे waste का कोई, जैसे I mean we are in Kanpur right now, and obviously we've seen the state of the Ganges river. All the waste was flowing, and for years nobody did a thing, and we forgot that this is a life-giving river for all of us. It's providing us water, which is the most human element of human need. Like we are doing nothing. Why? Because factories are still producing at a great pace, our economy is growing, so why should we care about our rivers? So how to improve on waste management, that is also something that this is talking about. Also, as we mentioned about better work environment, जब आप लोग work पे tomorrow if you go, unless you feel that the workplace you are working is ensuring your well-being, it is ensuring कि आपको कोई work में risk नहीं है, कोई hazards नहीं है, आप comfortable हैं. You cannot be focusing on work if you are sitting on a chair that has broken half your back and you can't do anything about it. So these ergonomic spaces, these workplaces in factories, manufacturing, office spaces, this is also something that Industry 5.0 is going to bring, because as I said, the center of everything that you have to do is around humans. Sustainability goals, as we said, reduce waste and follow green practices so that climate change, is something that will become sustainable. Increased resilience. So one of the things that is coming in Industry 5.0 is that you have to quickly adapt yourself, your technology, your practices to suit market disruptions. Meaning, if tomorrow you have a certain product in the market that has been the market leader for 10 years and you're very happy, and a new product comes in, how quickly you can adapt to those changes so as to ensure your product also moves up the value chain. So that adaptability needs to be built in the machines, in the automation that we do. Consumer satisfaction, as I said, personalized products are the need of the day. How you can fulfill the needs of your very demanding customer. This is something Industry 5.0 is talking about. And last but not the least, support the global sustainability goals, that is SDGs, because that is going to ensure that the world becomes a better place to live in along with progress. Now these are the 17 sustainable developmental goals that is UN is talking about, which includes things like we should eliminate poverty, then there should be zero wastage. It's talking about a lot of things like clean air, climate, it's talking about education, it's talking about electricity for all, clean water for all. So all of these things should also come, should also be a part of what you do. So for example, somebody asked me, how do you ensure, for example, what has it got to do with ensuring that the 990 to 1,000 gap that exists between women and men? Now, one of the ways that when we done is that Industry 5.0 ensures more participation of women workers, giving them more managerial seats, right? Over a period of time, this will ensure that the society stops discriminating on the basis of gender, because there are more opportunities that are given, right? So all of these are part of the goals. Talk about climate action, talks about marine life, and so much. So everything that you do, it has to be a part of this SDG, because if we do not do that, the world is going to not be livable in the next couple of years. Now, there are also some challenges in transitioning from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0. It's not going to be an easy process. It will take time. These are the few challenges. That initial cost will be high when you adopt new technologies, where you are bringing in AI, right? When you are bringing in robotics, then obviously these are advanced technologies and they will come at a price. So some of the companies might say, no, we cannot afford to have cobots. We'll continue with humans, workers and the assembly line. We cannot afford it. So high initial cost is going to be a deterrent. Skill gaps. Also, when you bring in robots, for example, they obviously are automated, but the people around them will have to be realigned about their jobs and responsibilities. कल आपके बीच में कोई faculty आ गया who is a robo, right? And you have not been aligned about it. So then the talk will be, oh, you know what? We are no longer going to be the job. The organization is going to cut the cost. सारे robots आ जाएंगे, right? And that is not going to be fruitful at all. So how we need to upskill our workforce to tell them that some of the menial jobs, some of the non-value adding jobs that you were doing, you are no longer supposed to do them. Now you are supposed to do higher order jobs. Your job will have more decision making. Your job will have more innovation and creativity, so as to assure them that these are not going to take away your jobs. अगर आपको यही डर लगेगा कि ये कोर रोबोट आके मेरा जॉब ले लेगा, तो you will never be accepting of this new technology. So reskilling and upskilling. Upskilling means अगर आपके पास एक certain skills हैं जो आपने 10 साल वहीं पर हैं, तो आप कैसे upskill करें, हम कैसे उसको और skills सीखें. और reskilling means अभी एक चीज को हम कर रहे हैं certain तरीके से, now I have to change the way I do that thing, because now I have a help at hand, I have a co-robot or what a cobot, and so reskilling and upskilling will both need to happen hand in hand. There will also be cybersecurity risks. Just imagine the kind of data that you will be sharing about your organization, about departments. Now there are chances that this can increase the system vulnerability. Cloud पे नहीं है, तो वो काफ़ी safe है. But once it goes onto the cloud for AI, for robotics to take over, for big data points to put that data and use that data, there is obviously a certain vulnerability that the data should not be misused. Also, one more thing is happening. Today, the technology is growing at a very fast pace. The kind of work that is happening is moving at a great pace. However, the policies are not able to keep pace with them. कहने का मतलब है आज बहुत सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज इवॉल्व हैं, अच्छे से बन चुकी हैं, लेकिन why have they not been introduced? They have not been introduced because the governments don't have enough policies to see कि ethics कई सारी चीज़ों में कोई होता है कि ethical नहीं है ये. For example, if there are robots that are available, some governments will say, as an organization, you cannot run a system. You will have to have at least 80% humans and 20% robots only. लेकिन वो पॉलिसी अभी फ्रेमवर्क है नहीं बहुत सारी कंट्रीज में. Some of the governments are scared because what happens if suddenly, because everybody is scared, what happens if co-robots taken and जो unemployment है which is bad, it will go worse. That's what they fear. So policies अभी बन रही उस space से जिस space से technology has developed, but obviously eventually it will have. और दूसरा है कि लोग बोलते हैं हमारी बहुत सारी personal sensitive information we do not want to share. Right? I'm sure आप लोग newspaper में पढ़ा होगा कि the government also, Facebook and all, they were giving free access to. Facebook said that anybody who buys the phone will have free access to Facebook, and उसके लिए आपको data भी नहीं चाहिए. Every system will have, Facebook will be an inbuilt part of it. Then issues started coming in, privacy, because they needed some data points of people who are using it, so यहाँ पे privacy concern आ गया. Somebody said, this way they dominate the market, what happens to other companies. So all these policies, since they have not been framed, इसलिए थोड़ा सा delay भी है. Ethical considerations, as I said, how much data you want to share, how much sensitive information you are ready to share, आपकी कौन सी private information है. While it might sound, कि जैसे I'm sure all of you have heard that WhatsApp, this thing that you call the pizza, restaurant, and you ask them that I want to order a pizza and make it full cheese, and the person says, sir, you can't have full cheese because your cholesterol report of last week, it has your cholesterol is at this level, so I'll make it pizza with port bread. He says, okay, give me pizza with port bread. So how will you pay, sir? With my credit card. No, sir, you can't pay with your credit card because your credit limit is already up. And then how do you deal with that? So too much of automation and how much data is too much data, how much information you are ready to share about yourself. Some people might say, no, we don't want to share it, and those will obviously be limitations or challenges. Resistance to change, yes, especially in traditional industries, there will be a huge resistance. Just imagine the rich owners of traditional factories and all being told that now you will have all your workers who work in the assembly lines, now they will be sitting on a computer and they will be making decisions. Maybe as a traditional mindset they say, no, why should they? 20 years I made them slog and that is what they get paid for. Why should they be sitting on the system? And that too, when I have to make an investment of 5 crore rupees to get these core robots, I don't want that. Let them work, they are not complaining. This will also come, but let's say if the workers are not complaining, they are happy doing it. And some workers will also say, yeah, we don't, because they are scared that robots आएंगे तो हमारा job चले जाएगा, so we'll say, okay, we'll continue to do these media jobs. Integration with the existing system, so once you get a new system और currently भी कोई system आपके organization में, उनको integrate करना पड़ेगा. नई टेक्नोलॉजी को पुरानी टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ जब तक इंटीग्रेट नहीं होगा तब तक you cannot make any progress. That integration will come with its own set of challenges because technology has moved ahead at a very fast speed. It will also be bringing some financial constraints because it will need money as well. So these are some of the challenges. Now what are the strategies that we can look at so that this is seamless? One is upskilling our workforce. So we have to ensure that training in AI, robotics, digital tools, they become comfortable with that. Because till the time they do not know about these emerging technologies, they will be shy of using it, they'll be even scared of using it, and we don't want that. So increasingly, they will have to be, we'll have to ensure that the workforce is upskilled, and all these future technologies they are introduced to, maybe not very quickly, that might also lead to a dissonance, but maybe, step by step, they have to be introduced to these emerging technologies. Because once you start getting to know how your work can actually become more value added with the help of technology and AI, then you will be happily accepting that. But if you are scared, then that will not be the case. Also, the government and the big organizations need to take up the investment in technology. They will need to ensure that whatever high costs that are going to be there initially, because the long-term benefits will be far higher than the initial investment costs. So the governments will need to, give a lot of subsidies to the industries for them to change to this new format of Industry 5.0. Also, partnerships with collaborations with the technology providers, academic institutions, so as if there's a partnership, then there will be an exchange of new technology. People will no longer be uncomfortable around new technology. So these sort of partnerships can be looked into. Also, regulatory alignment. See, one of the things as I was mentioning is that the policies are not really that fast. It's taking a lot of time for the policies to come up. Technology has moved far beyond, but those technologies cannot be introduced because the policy making has been slow. So regulatory alignment will need to be done, and all the supportive policies will need to be advocated for. So these are some of the strategies. Some of the quick real world applications I take you through. We have discussed cobots, which are collaborative robotics, and they work alongside humans. And as I mentioned, they generally used to perform tasks which require high precision and efficiency, but also very, very repetitive. Okay? इतना efficiency humans में नहीं होती है. Beyond the point, we will not be able to judge, 0.1 gram का difference, but they can. So अगर एक example देंगे, in an automotive assembly line, cobots assist in precise welding or assembly, while workers handle complex decision making. So you are upskilling your workers to move to a role of a decision maker, and at the same point ensuring that cobots add more value to your business. Mass productions, Industry 5.0 enables customized manufacturing, as we were talking about, so that every product is tailored around the need of the customer. So suppose एक ही product नहीं लेना है, मुझे लैम्प चाहिए तो एक specific guideline है, मेरे भाई को लेना है उसको अलग चाहिए, my neighbor wants another one. All of that needs to be done with automation, also human creativity. So like आजकल बहुत सारे even in India custom design furniture, 3D printing products, and if you can see, some people want a particular kind of shoes, particular kind of pen stand, and everything is going to be possible with mass productions. इससे एक और चीज़ होगी, because every client, every customer is different, so आप बहुत ज़्यादा warehouse में you don't want to keep a lot of products, so inventory है that can come down, because everybody, you will have to mass customize करना पड़ेगा product. Smart factories, we were talking about environments where humans supervise and intervene, and advanced sensors in factories like IoT devices, AI-driven systems, all of these things. Now, just imagine अगर आपको AC होता है यार उसमें या कोई भी होता है, as human beings we do err, कभी कभी नहीं बंद किया, कभी कभी फायर लग जाता है, कुछ हो जाता है, फैक्ट्री बंद कर दिया. Now, why should humans be in charge of something that machines can do so very efficiently? And this is where predictive maintenance, like for example, अगर कोई machine already पता चल रहा है कि कोई particular gas है जो कि hazardous है, machines produce करती हैं, वो एक level के ऊपर आया, machines will already switch the system off. All of these things are what smart factories will have. In terms of decision making, as we said, the database that AI can handle is huge. The more the data points, the more precise the decision that AI will make. So human beings की data की जो decision making है, that's next level, and if they can also use the complex data points from AI in things like supply chain optimization, resource allocation, production planning, so then industries will obviously grow, I mean their profits as well, because eventually profits will be one of the key points for any industry to deliver. So अगर हम एक example है, अगर एक logistics company, which has to deliver its product from one city to the other city or to another village, from manufacturing to the end point, so you can optimize delivery routes while human planners adjust for real-time changes like weather or traffic. So an AI can help you, which is the shortest route, and human intelligence can say short route तो है वो, but वहाँ पर एक local problem है. Economy, we talked about how we can recycle products, we can reduce our waste that our industries produce, because this is also, as I said, one of the SDG goals. So ensuring that machines are energy efficient, they do not pollute, all of those things. Healthcare, biomedical application, I'm sure